We're back. When we last left Scott and Amanda, our hero and heroine, they were indulging in a right tonguing, if you will. Amanda, had to go on about, what men are like, and then Scott surged forward. Scott surged then. He stood up, bolt straight, planted his mouth against mine, and lifted me against the wall, urging my legs around his hips. The marble wall was cool despite the steam, and I couldn't quite balance, but figured he had at least a little control. He arched his back a bit and slipped his cock inside, with none of the gentleness he'd expressed just moments before. "Slow down, Scott, make it last." I looked into his eyes and wondered how I could have missed the fact that he'd moved into a shift. His pupils were blown out, to a size not seen this size of a seizure clinic, and his canines had split his lower lip. Fresh blood trailed down his chin and neck like hot grease. I pulled my head as far away as possible, exposing my neck to attack if Scott was completely too far gone, but it had to be done lest I give in to my own carnivorous ways. "Scott," I yelled, "back off!" His thrusts were rapid and forceful, his thighs grown to haunches, a new crop of fur coating the flesh. Holy shit, I thought. He's going all the way. I had to get off. Scott's transformation could only end in blood. I slapped him and grabbed him by the ears as I screamed, "Focus!" And he did, thank God. His teeth receded, and despite a dull pop in my hip, the pounding became much more pleasant. Much more. It was as I came, with those welcome waves crashing through the last layers of tension. With me bearing down onto Scott, now mysteriously flat on his back, I have no clue how that even happened, covering the drain and creating a hot puddle, both literally and figuratively, as his own orgasm washed over him, leaving him slack-jawed. Or jack-slawed, even. It was that moment when I noticed my leg jutting from my hip at an odd angle, knees straight and inanimately disconnected. "What the fuck?" "Huh?" Scott lifted up onto his palms and took in the ghastly sight. "Oh shit, that doesn't look good." "You think?" I glowered and tried to pull myself off Scott's erection. "Still with the hard-on?" I asked. He shrugged. I could have probably gone again. "Oh no, Jojo the dog boy has had his bone for the evening. Now he's gonna fix this fucking leg before I get pissy." Scott sucked his lips and tried to manage a position where it would even be feasible to extract his protracted boner from an undead invalid. I wondered what it would be like to be found like this. Not pleasant, I imagine. And by who? What would Honey think, particularly now, I thought, with my foundation washed off down the drain along with my dignity? Jesus, there's Amanda's dead body, naked and busted all to hell. How she ever found a living thing to bone her is nothing sort of miraculous. She should be grateful for that at the very least. But she probably wouldn't even think that. But run screaming for Wendy, who'd no doubt bring Gil, who'd of course gather my mother, a few of her closest whores, and anyone else who needed a good laugh to cram into my master bath and witness this complete atrocity. I groaned. "Come on." Scott's mouth spread into a silly grin. He snapped his fingers as though he'd contemplated important strategic scenarios, and finally lit on the ultimate tactical response. "You're going to have to lift yourself up a bit, and then I think if I bear down, I can slip out behind you. Easy peasy. How's that sound?" "I'll give it a shot, but no promises. In the meantime, how about you think about dead kitties or whatever the hell it is that turns off werewolves?" He clenched an eye and bit his lip, pondering playfully. I leaned in close. "And if I find out you've been sneaking Viagra or Cialis or something, I'm going to kill you." "Well, if you keep up that kind of talk, I'll be flaccid for weeks." I balanced my torso over my hips and heaved up with my arms, just enough for him to slip out and drag himself after a minor adjustment out from underneath me. When I settled back onto the floor of the shower, I heard an eerie pop. Scott knelt beside me. "You're going to have to straighten out that good leg." His face was serious, stoic even. "What do you mean?" "You said it yourself. You can't afford another Reaper bill." A chill passed through me when I realized what he intended to do, and maybe it was the icy water showering around me. I pointed at the nozzle. Scott twisted it closed, and the room quieted to a few sporadic drips and Scott's heartbeat. He waited for me to make a decision. I couldn't afford it. He was right. Of course he was right. I already owed the bitches my firstborn child, or a firstborn child, whatever the figurative breakdown of 40 grand was, probably triplets. I slipped my working leg out in front of me and leaned back on my elbows. "Do it." I'll let you figure out what happens from there. Anyway, I was going to introduce you to our middle child, Lindsay, but every time I go for her, she runs under the bed and hides. She doesn't want to be on camera. Not like Smokey and Yoda, who seem to relish it. Yoda particularly. But that's about it. That's all I got for you. Leave comments. We'll chat. I'm not sure what we'll chat about. I'm sure it'll be dirty. It'll go on for hours, days. It'll go on into tomorrow, I'm sure of it. And we'll go from there. Tell me your deepest fantasies. And if anyone tells anyone about that whole webcam thing, you know, I have friends. I have friends that can take care of you. That's it. And I understand that I'll be back on the 23rd for the release of Battle of the Network Zombies. So, that's it. Prizes. 5 sets of Road Trip and Battle to 5 lucky commenters who have purchased Happy Hour with the Damned. You need to tell me. You know, I'm going to do something. Also, if y'all aren't following me on Twitter, there's something wrong. Because if you're enjoying these vlog things, Twitter's like that every 20 minutes. Like that. Every 20 minutes forever, it seems. I think I did. In the last year, I did over 10,000 tweets, which is probably 2 novels, which I could have written 2 novels, which would have saved me a hell of a lot of problems. Anyway, so that's it. Let's get commenting.